As far as I know, you just have to find some sponsorship through Spotify.
Okay.
Or I think you can like pay for it yourself, but what's the point?
Yeah. We'll research it then. Because
Okay.
like right now we're just on SoundCloud and YouTube, so.
Yeah. Okay, well. Hey everybody. Thank you so much for joining in to this episode of the Be More podcast. Don't you love how I just drop in whenever we're in mid-conversation? I'm like, we're gonna start now. My name is...
Go ahead.
My name is Brittany.
I'm Maria, and this is why I laugh every time you start this, because it's literally, Brittany starts a sentence, and then just goes into the intro, and I just start laughing. Like, I guess we're doing this now. Like, this isn't, me laughing is not,
no.
Like,
here's why I do that, though. Because if it would be 10 times more awkward, and you'd laugh 3,000 times more if I was like, okay, let's get really quiet. And let's not say anything. And it was like action. Because we've tried that also, and that one really doesn't work. So I have to throw you off guard and just I have to, like, without you knowing, just gently turn the wheel of the car and just like, we're going this way now.
I'm like, oh, okay, we're starting. That's why I start laughing in the background.
Okay, I give you a gentle nudge, and then we're just on our way. And
yeah. Then it gets my brain going. I'm like, all right, we're doing this now. Anyways, today we are talking about how we make our podcast and like the behind the scenes and everything.
Podcast process.
Right. But before that, I just want to say very briefly, because we do have this platform, right? To talk and like. And
because Maria and I did spend the last hour not recording, just having this conversation, and it's relevant. Right. So we want to share it.
With what's happening in America right now. But we won't dive into the whole thing. I just want to point out a resource that will be in the description, which is the Black Lives Matter card. It's called a card website or whatever. It has all the petitions. It has all the resources that you need to educate yourselves on about all like the Black Lives Matter movement and everything. It has donation buttons for all the relevant charities and organizations. So that'll be in the description. It sucks that this is happening, but it is something that we have to talk about and point out, especially with this platform.
Yeah.
So.
And we've been very, very, I feel like we've been very upfront in saying that we want to have an inclusive community. So like we want to welcome everybody, and we want to be very clear about the fact that all people are welcome in this conversation. So like right now, this is a relevant point for us to say, like, this podcast, like these people that are engaged in this, like we are for this movement and we believe in it and we support the Black Lives Matter movement. So with that being said,
go out.
Period.
Yeah, go out. So there's a resource down below.
Right.
Yeah. So there's that. Okay. Oh. All right, cool. So anyways, yeah, so we're going to show you guys how I mainly edit.
Yeah, so Maria does we've also been very clear and upfront about this. Brittany is the ideas. Let's get a lot of ideas. I'm going to send you ideas. Maria's going to be like, yeah, let's do this with that. And I'm like, great. And then Maria does all of the tech stuff.
So pre-COVID days, right? We would be in the same room and filming it. I'm just going to show them the camera that I use just because it's a very old camera. Like this camera I've had since high school. It's like a Nikon DSLR or whatever. It's very like it's any camera that you have honestly at home that we can do this like with or whatever. But the added extra thing that we do for when we work together is that Brittany and Dan, her fiance, have a microphone and like a.
Oh yeah, we can share that with you. I should have brought that. Yeah, I'm outside, so I have nothing.
Yeah, but
we can share that. We can share that with you. And
I'll list out what we use pre-COVID and then post-COVID.
Yeah. Well, post-COVID is actually
post.
I mean, not post, pre. Yeah. Process of COVID. It's actually much easier, even though we don't like being together, although that we can't be together, but like using Zoom is actually much simpler in terms of the actual process of recording it. Editing is still the work, but the process is a little easier because we can just utilize Zoom for this.
Yeah, it is easier now because I don't do much when it comes to audio editing anyway to begin with. but because Zoom records this perfectly, I'm like, I don't need
Yeah.
I don't need to
But like as a side note, even if you don't want to purchase a microphone, the podcast that I do for work is literally called Driven by Dance. And it literally is me in a car talking into my phone that I record and then I use while I'm driving. So like when I had my old car, you could hear all the crazy sounds that my car would make and you hear how I respond in traffic, which is not well. But just so you have like an extent of understanding, like you don't need to have, I think that's the biggest reason why we wanted to offer is like you don't need to have anything fancy to start. You just have to start. And I mean, Maria will go into more of her details because she's much more like savvy than I am, but I literally just use the free Audacity app to update and like edit any of my like sound files for that one.
Audacity is great. It's a free software. I'll put the link below for Audacity for whoever just wants to do audio podcasts.
Yeah.
Podcasts are technically just audio, but because we upload this on YouTube, I rip out the video too. So
do it as like a vlog issue
yeah.
then, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean I can share my screen now and I'll show everyone what I use, which is...
Oh wait, I think I have to make you a co-host to share your screen. Can you share your screen?
No, it says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
I don't like you. Just kidding. So you're getting a lesson on Zoom too. If you want somebody else to be able to share their screen.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, let's share.
Oh, I made you the host, so now you are the host instead of making you a co-host. So now you're in charge of everything.
Now I'm the host. I don't know how to do this. Shit. Okay, let me share my desktop. Oh my god. I'm gonna edit this out.
Level of stress onto your moment right there.
Oh shit. Hold on, wait.
I literally have no oversee over anything that's gonna happen in here now. This is gonna be all you.
Can I share? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
wait,
yeah,
can you see my
it
screen?
works. See.
Can this go away? Okay, cool. Okay. Or not. Fine. Putting me on the spot. I don't know how to use this. Okay.
What are we doing? What are you trying to do?
No, my
sister. Oh, no,
Can you see? Okay.
I see. Yes, I see.
So I use iMovie, which is free for all the Mac users. So that's lovely because they have it has so much. I'm just gonna open the podcast, which should be when you like make one, you just have to drop in all your files and it's so fucking easy, honestly. Because then you can drag and drop down here. But what I like to do is, before our whole intro, I have that little clip of like bloopers in the beginning, which is just an added thing that is quirky for our podcast, basically, right? But you'll see like the audio isn't like ripped out and like isn't edited at all. I literally just drop in the raw file and then just chop it up based on like how the conversation is going, and how like the flow of the conversation is. So I mean, like I add background music if people listen to the podcast. You'll hear the background music within the first like minute of bloopers, and like all that stuff is under like audio and like where is it? There's different sound effects. So like I think when we first started doing this, it took me like an hour to find like something relevant. Like
also, I like the oh wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I like the sound that it makes at our little blooper sound, little bloop. I love that sound.
Yeah, over here, right? Like that was like, cause like our logo, like that.
That I love that sound.
So my sister actually made our logo. I don't know if you can see it, but
also to know that like the way that we were able to come to an end result of a logo is because like we just started again. Like it really, all of this, I think the whole thing is just gonna be like come up with an idea and like execute it, go back and adjust and execute, go back and adjust it. Like you really, Maria and I are still figuring it out too.
And like know who you can leverage off of. Because my sister, I don't know like Photoshop. Brittany created the logo, but then Erin, my sister, cleaned it up and
made it nicer.
So leverage the people that, and she also makes our thumbnails. My sister makes our thumbnails for all like our YouTube videos and stuff. So yeah, just leverage the people that that can do shit like that. Because I can edit.
Definitely comes down to that. Yeah.
I can edit. I mean, the audio's on here. This is gonna be a very short video because like.
Oh my god, you guys haven't met, right? You guys
I
are
love this.
so exciting.
Like you can, it's a little, I don't know if you can see this, but I do a little editing on like this clip, this audio clip where you fade in, which is why when you listen to our YouTube or when you listen to the podcast, the background music won't start immediately because like I fade it in and fade it out so it sounds cohesive. So that's like the little editing that I do, but iMovie is very powerful. Like, yeah, I don't have to download anything. Like they have so many sound effects for anything really, because they even like textures, transportation, sci-fi, like jingles, sports, like literally there's theme music.
Yeah, that's cool.
So like that's one video. Like it's the same thing for everyone, and like I think consistency is key, especially to like brand yourself. I mean, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like it'd be weird if I change this intro music mid like episode 20, because like that's now like that's weird, or like I change this little like that. Like if I change it to something else, you'd be like, what?
I would probably be so mad, but yes,
Yeah,
that is true. For the sake of like branding, you want to have that consistency.
Like for us, it's like for every episode, literally. I think I clicked on that one already. It's literally a minute of content before the actual podcast. The little like our logo, and then we say bye, and it's our logo again. Like,
Yeah. So there's an outline.
There is an outline.
Essentially. Like there's a consistent pattern that happens in every episode.
Mm-hmm. And like we don't get too crazy with editing. Even pre-COVID, like I think I don't have the file on me, honestly, from pre-COVID, but this is so side note, I have a separate YouTube account with my sisters, and we used to do like these videos or whatever.
Of like cool, awesome adventures they go on. Totally look at them. They're cool.
You see the audio's ripped down below. Like there's no, if I mute this, like there's no audio to the video. Like there's nothing playing. So that's the only added step that I have for like pre-COVID editing, is that the audio's down below and I just like fix the levels of audio. Because sometimes the way that our mic stands is that it's more towards you usually, right?
Yeah.
So I have to like make my volume a little bit higher just because. But otherwise, like I don't do much editing, just chopping here and there, which is super.
That's the biggest thing, is like the cuts to the alignment of the audio, not necessarily which is why it's nice, if you get like, so I have to do one because I talk into my phone. I should figure out a way to like mount a microphone to my car or something. When you don't have, I mean, I could probably easily do it, but oh my God, my brain. Okay. So the more you do in terms of having the quality equipment up front, the less you have to do in the post. But the opposite is true. So like if you talk into your phone, I have to spend a lot more time like editing the quality of the audio and trying to increase the levels and play with it so it sounds clear. So I have to do a lot more in post, which is why I have not started yet. That's exactly why I haven't started the editing process for the next season.
It's so much easier dealing with files, like big files like we have, because we record for like 2 hours, and then we pull out like an hour of content. It's so much easier for me as an editor to have something pre-production or pre-editing that's like solid. Because then the time spent is so much less. Because then if I have to go in, because in the very beginning of our podcast, when we didn't have that mic and whatever, that full setup, I would have to adjust the audio levels here and there. So that was like annoying, but otherwise, like, otherwise it's fine. Because then all you have to do is just literally export it, and we just upload it on YouTube, and just the audio file on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
But also,
and
like,
now it's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. You go first.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, another thing, like, besides editing, like, we keep alluding to this, like, Google Doc that we have. Like, it's so helpful for people to just, like, have, like, a resource to fall back on and be like, okay, this is what we're talking about this week, and not, like, wing it. Yeah. Really.
Yeah, but we still end up doing that. So it's, like, it really becomes wind. So much wind. It really becomes the level of it. doing it, and this is something that I think is so true across any level of like wanting to show up for your brand across like any social medias or wanting to do anything that you're going to put information out there or share like a resource or something. It's not, I remember when a big part of the reason of why we didn't really actually start the podcast, I feel like was because we were like, okay, well, we don't have the equipment to do it, or we don't know what we need to do it. But that actually is like the tiniest hurdle. Like the bigger things are actually like you showing up and having something to talk about, right? Which is why Maria and I, and that thankfully for the two of us is never an issue, but that's where you want to set your focus. So don't don't get caught up in like the tech equipment. If I can make something out of a recording on my phone, like you probably have better stuff to be able to do it from the get-go, and it just focus on the content and adding value and sharing yourself with others. That's what makes the difference.
Yeah, because editing this is easy. Like it's just another thing that I have to do for an hour on like my Sunday night or Monday after work. Like it's nothing substantial. It's literally the content, I think.
Yeah. So just practicing. Like
being in front of the camera too. Like that's
and I feel like so many people who've like reached out to either of us to talk about it are like, yeah, I wanted to do like know what they want to talk about, have said like I want to do a podcast about this, and I'm like, that is awesome. And they're like, yeah, but I don't know what to do. Like I can't even tell you. Somebody was talking to me about something related to I think fishing, like a video blog or something, and I was like, I can't be of any help to you in telling you what to talk about because I have no connection at all to like that hobby, like people who enjoy fishing. Like no offense, fishing is great, but I have no connection to that community. So like, what to talk about. So like and then they're asking about equipment, and I was like, I don't want you to get stuck up on the equipment, because then you're going to do what Maria and I did, and you're going to wait an extra year to not do anything because you're so worried about feeling like you don't have the right resources. And nowadays, we are very fortunate. You have a lot of the things that you need already. Like all of these things that we're talking about are free resources.
This is all you need is a phone.
Right.
Because you can just record yourself and just upload it.
We're learning that in a lot of different respects, that your phone.
Yeah.
Oh, barking. I was like, what is this?
The struggle with you being outside. But
it's so worth it though.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so we can just talk. Because that's literally it. This is it. Like
this is the whole thing.
This is the whole thing. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. The main point though is like don't get caught up on the equipment, because I know everyone wants to sound the best on podcasts, or like, the audio quality and like the video quality, but like it doesn't really matter if you're getting your point across and then you're doing this for fun, like whatever.
People aren't coming on because they want to. It's like the same thing with everything else. Like people don't show up because they want to be able to say, "Ooh, look at the shiny mic you use," or look at how wonderful. I mean, like if you're doing a video or if you're doing an audio, it'll be a better experience if people have, something like that. At least they can see you and hear you clearly. Like if you get in too detailed into the specs, and like that's a worry or a concern for like a major editor or like PR people on your team. But like if you're doing, like Maria and I said, like we do this because we care and we want to engage and we want to have that community, and we're doing it for like that sake. Like it doesn't just show up, and like it literally comes like I remember Maria and I had so many conversations where we're like, how are we having even this many people watching or engaging with us or asking us questions, and the two of us were like, we feel ridiculous, like this feels so uncomfortable, and then but we said like the two of us have been able to grow so much because we've been able to do this, and we talk about things that are important to us, and it's been so good. Yeah, it's been so good.
Who cares who's watching? Like, whatever.
If you had some way can add some level of value to somebody because they choose to watch or engage in what you're offering, then like win.
Yeah.
Total win. So like I guess, okay, Maria, if we were going to say, this is what you do to start a podcast.
What would you do?
What's like give us like what are three things that you're like, this is what you do?
Like, well, number one, have an idea for what the hell you're going to talk in this podcast. Like,
Yeah, even if it's not super detailed, because the two of us literally were just like, we're going to continue conversations we always have.
Yeah, we're just going to have some conversations for an hour every week. Fine. Yeah. That's simple enough. It's also broad enough. Don't be so specific in the beginning if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. And be willing to change it, right? If it doesn't work or if you don't like it. Talking about, that's a good thing too. Like Maria and I were just specific enough to be like, we're going to talk about the stuff that excites us, and it covers a lot.
And that covers range of things, and it also
Yeah.
brings people in. Like having guests was like maybe like an episode 5 thing, like, oh, should we bring in people to go on? Like it's an evolving thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It is
So,
a form of expression, so it's an art form in a way of itself. So
yeah, so that's like one, have an idea.
yeah,
Number 2, have a schedule. Like me and
that
Brittany,
always helps for everything.
me and Brittany do this like Sunday afternoons now. It used to be Saturday, but just having consistent thing in life in general. Have a schedule.
You'd like some more information about scheduling and block timing. We can do that in another episode too. We can do a whole productivity episode, and I'll share with you. The 2 of us can share like everything we do.
Yeah.
Oh, people will think we're crazy.
Because having a schedule and like, especially for something like a podcast, like you have to set aside time to do this, right?
Yeah.
And if you're wishy-washy and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna upload next week, like, and don't specify a date and a time for yourself, you're never gonna do it. Like it's not gonna happen. Like at the very beginning, we were like, okay, when should we post this? And like, so we did. I think we did a little bit of research, and it was like Tuesday nights, and I was like, all right, we'll just do Tuesday nights at 6.
Yeah. See what the trends are and the stats are, and also too, I feel like this is a way for to open up, like. So Maria and I working together creates such a better place for us to work because we like hold each other accountable. Like we get to we know we schedule them, we know we're showing up because somebody else is relying on us. So like if you're looking for support, if you want a podcast and like you can totally disagree with me if you're not in for this, Maria, but like if you're looking for a support and you want to start something, like reach out to us and let us help you hold yourself accountable to doing it. And if you have ideas you want, and like also with this being said, like Maria and I are not podcast gurus. Like we're literally just giving you like we were like fly by the seat of your pants. We're sewing the seams of those pants together as we're walking. Like we're just trying to figure it out. So like we're not trying to come at you and be like, yeah, we're professional podcasters, you should follow what we say. Like no, we're just 2 people who enjoy doing this and wanted to offer some more information. So if you are, because I know for myself, yeah, when it comes to like me trying to do my podcast on my own, I'm way less accountable and less likely to do it because I have to like schedule it in and it's way more complicated. But because Maria and I show up together and we can talk about stuff, it's also just a really good situation. So if you can find somebody to work with and to co-host the podcast with, that'll help you like keep yourself. That's why the great thing about the 2 of us doing this is like we're never going to run out of ideas.
Right. Exactly.
Like we're never gonna not be able to continue the conversation. So
yeah, that might be a fear for people that are starting a podcast by themselves, is running out of topics. But also, like if you have guests on every so often, that helped.
Yeah, talk to people. The whole point of having like this podcast, the whole point of this podcast was about creating a community, and like podcasts are really about doing that and connecting to people. So do that. Let it be that. Don't be afraid. That is literally the best advice that I have for you. Like come up with an idea, write your ideas down, find people that can help you make that idea possible and the resources and whatever tools you might need without like thinking that you need to spend a stupid amount of money for no reason. And then just execute with consistency.
Yeah.
And it will come to something, right? Like Maria and I, it's been a benefit for us, and we've already been able to connect to some awesome people because of it. So wins, but like, right? Yay! If somewhere down the road it becomes something else, but like if you don't show up and start doing it, you're never gonna find out what it could be.
With anything in life, like you just have to do it.
Period. Podcast too.
You just have to do it, honestly. Yeah.
If you have any questions about specific things that you think that we would somehow be eligible to answer,
seriously, just let us know. Definitely
reach out. If we are not eligible of answering it, I'm sure the 2 of us can find other resources for you to head to that can answer your questions. But just go for it. And then when you do start it, share it with us. And then come onto this podcast and let us talk about it and get you involved in the community and let us support you and encourage you and all that good stuff.
I agree. Completely.
Well, that was an easy episode. Podcast.
That was a short episode. We've had long ones, so I feel like the change of pace of having a short episode would be nice, I guess, for people.
Yeah.
Right?
Truth. I hear you.
Next week is going to be long, though. I'll tell you that.
I can't wait. I have no questions. I literally am not going to ask questions. I'm not going to write down questions beforehand. I'm literally just going to show up.
Just for this podcast, my birthday's next week.
Yeah.
We're having guests on it. And Brittany's just gonna go off.
Yep.
I already briefed
I'm
her. I
gonna
was
ask
like, she's gonna
questions.
ask you so many questions. So she's like, that's fine.
Yes.
It's gonna be awkward though, because we don't do this. So
And then Maria will get to reciprocate in weeks from there. So it's not just a me, why is Brittany picking on Maria? First
on
of
her
all,
birthday.
Maria's idea.
It was. I mean, this was my idea.
Maria made the
Because, like,
decision.
because like, we're filming on my birthday. What am I like?
Yeah.
I figured to be
Well,
fulfilling.
it was either this or we make you do like a photo collage of like your entire childhood experience, and I just pull out random pictures of the two of us from when we were younger. That would have been more mortifying. So you picked the lesser of two evils. So good job.
Maybe next year. Maybe next year. Maybe we'll revisit this in a year.
Okay, I could be for that. That's fine.
So yeah.
How about it?
Okay.
Go beans.
All right.
Well,
it,
yeah,
really?
podcasting. I don't know. I feel like confused as to why we're ending so soon, but I mean, there's nothing else to cover. If you have any other questions, definitely reach out. And yeah, thank you for listening to this
Lives
episode.
Matter movement again.
Seriously, just have a stance. If you are like, I have no idea what to do and I'm super overwhelmed, just putting your feet in a position and making a choice to be in a spot is your first step to doing something. So do that. And then look at the resources Maria offered, and go from there.
Agreed. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode. Check in on for next week for a very special Maria's birthday episode. And we will talk to you guys soon. I'm so excited.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.